Hey, how's it going everyone? We'll now talk about functions in Python. Functions are a way to group and reuse code. The demos we have been writing so far have been short. However, as you build scripts and programs, it becomes hard to follow and keep track of things. Sometimes we find ourselves repeating one piece of code over and over again as well. So we use functions to group code into a block so that our program is easier to read and follow, and so that we can reuse code that we have written without rewriting it. To create a function in Python, we use the def keyword. Def is short for define, and it just tells Python that we are defining, that is creating a function. We give our function a name, just like we've been doing with variables. So I'll call this print hello, and then we follow this with open close parentheses and a colon. If I press enter, you see that VS Code indents the next line by a bit. So what I'll do is just type in print hello world, and this is basically the code that is executed when I run my function. So I'll go to command prompt and I'll just run the script, and you see that nothing really happens. That's because we have created our function, but we haven't told Python to run it. And so we need to tell Python to run our function. The way we do that is we write the function name to print hello, followed by open close parentheses. And this just tells Python that we wanna run our function. The technical term for this is calling a function, which just means running or executing a function. Okay, so I have print hello here. I'll run the script again, and you see we get hello world. We can run our function as many times as we like. So I'll just copy this and paste it 3 times or 2 times. So we get 3, so that we are calling the function 3 times. And if I run the code, you see we get hello world 3 times. So we can call our function as many times as we like. Now something to note is the indentation level. Print hello world is indented by 4 spaces, whereas when I'm calling the function, you see that it's right up against the left margin. This indentation is really just to tell Python that this block of code belongs to the print hello function. So any code that does not belong to the function will not have that indentation level. One note, you must be consistent with the indentation. So if you use 4 spaces, all the code that belongs to the function needs to be 4 spaces. If you did 4 spaces and then 2 for the next, this would cause some errors. So ensure to be consistent. Okay, cool. Next, let's do something a little different. Let's supply the data that we want the function to print. Okay, so instead of printing hello world, we'll tell it what to print when we call the function. How do we do that? We can supply data to our function by giving the data a name, and that name appears in the parentheses. So I'll just say text, and text will be what we print in the function, right? So inside my print, I'll just replace this with text. Essentially what's happening here is text is a variable that will store some data we give the function, and whenever we use text in the function, important, whenever we use the text in the function, it's going to refer to the data we supplied, right? So if I do this and I run my program, we get an error. It says print hello, missing one required positional argument, text. What this means is print hello is expecting some data that we have named text, but when we are calling the function, we aren't really supplying that data. So how do we supply the data? We just type it out in these parentheses. So I'll say hello for the first one, word for the second one, and let's say it's a good day for the third one, right? And if I run this, you see we get hello world, it's a good day. What's going on is when Python calls the function the first time for line 9, it's setting text to hello. So in the function, when we print text, we get hello. When calls it the second time, it sets text to world, so we print and we get world. And in the third time, it's setting text to it's a good day, and when we print, we get it's a good day. Cool. So you're not limited to one variable for the function. You can have as many as you like. So I'll just put in num here, and we can supply a number as well. 5, let's say. And if I run, yeah, I'm just getting hello world, it's a good day, because I forgot to use num. So let's just print num on the second line, and we get hello 2, world 3, and it's a good day 5. Let's just create a function that takes in two numbers. So I'll call those first and second, and prints out the sum of the two numbers. So sum first plus second, right? Adds them up. And I'll just rename my function to add. Cool. So down here, I'll call add with 5 and 3, and I'll do another one for 5 and 5, and let's do a third one for 3 and 2. And when I run my program, I get 5 and 3 is 8, and 5 and 5 10, and 3 and 2 for 5. So far I've been writing only one line in our functions, but we can have as many lines as we like, and we can have any bit of Python code that we desire. So I'll just say sum equals first plus second and print out the sum, and we get the exact same result. There we go. Now here we are printing the sum directly, but what if we wanted to get the sum and then do something with it? So essentially what we want our function to do is do the calculation and then give the number back to our program so that we can do something else with it. How can we do that? How can we, instead of displaying it here, do the calculation and give it back to our program down here so that we can do something with it later on? Well, we can do that with the return keyword. So we just type in return and the value we want to give back to our program. So I'll just say return sum. And now if I run my program, you see nothing really happens. That's because the function is doing the calculation, supplying the value back, but we don't really do anything with it. So how can we see what it's giving back? I can do a print here. And if I run my code now, you see we get the result of the calculation, the result of our function. I can also assign the result to a variable. So I'll just say A equals the first one, B equals the second one, and C equals the third one. And I'll just print out A, B, and C. If I run my code, you see we get 8, 10, and 5. Now that these are variables, you can use them in your program like normal. So now I have a challenge for you guys. I'd like you to write a program that asks a user for a length and a width. Your job is to create two functions, one called area and another called perimeter, that basically calculates the area and perimeter of a rectangle with the supplied length and width, and then display the result to the user. So give that a go and come back once you're finished. All the best. Okay, welcome back. Hope you gave that a go. Now, what we want to do first is ask the user for a length. So I'll just say length equals input, enter the length. We'll just keep it simple for this demo. and this is a string, so we need to convert it into an integer or a float. So I'll just do float, and I'll copy this line and make it width, enter the width. Then I'm going to create my two functions. So let's do area first, def area, and I'll say area equals length times width, return area, right? And in my function parameters, I'm going to add length and width, right? So we supply a length and width to this function. It calculates the area based on the length and width and returns the area. I'm gonna do def perimeter, same thing, length and width, and we can say perimeter equals length plus width times 2. Now be careful to add parentheses with the length plus width because of badmess/pemdas rules. I'm gonna do return perimeter. Awesome. So we have our two functions. Now we just wanna calculate the area. So I'll say area equals, we'll call the function area and we'll supply our length and the width, and we'll do another perimeter equals perimeter length and width, and let's print it down here. Area and perimeter. Cool. Let's run this program. You can enter the length 5, enter the width 3, and you can see area is 5 3 is 15, perimeter is 16. Awesome. So that's the code for the challenge. A few notes and improvements. Firstly, I like to keep my functions in one place and my code that does the actual work, so this and this in one place. So what I'll normally do is have the functions at the top of the file, and I'll just move this code, the working code, to the bottom of the file together so that it's easier to find and work with. That's all for today. Happy coding.